All right, welcome to another episode of Cooking the Late Night. You guys are tuning in on the IG version. We are going to be bringing in Carter Sadé on both IG Live and YouTube. This is a whole new experience. This is a whole new way. So when she taps into the Instagram, we're going to add it to the page. We can have hers focus on just her POV, and then I'll have everything else. You know, it ain't about me, man. I'm just a vessel. I'm just happy to be here. This is lit.
We never come forward and say we don't need capital.
No cap. To be capped up.
10 o'clock on the gram, no you should check me. Here for an hour, I promise this talk is heavy. I'm cooking, just getting started, don't go asking if it's ready. I'll be damned like we about to break a levee. I sweat all of this content, push my conscience to a beautiful dark, twisted fantasy. I'm a monster, my posture looking like we was winning Oscars. Far from an act, but still acting like we got sponsors. Define us by the work we do, you know the work of few. Willing to get down in the trenches for the perfect view. So if you at me, then be sure to mention purpose too. And alignment, we own it, far from consignment. I seen the light, it was blind to contribute this all the time. Let it breathe till you find it. Get fresh, then set the table for guests. I told you that we was cooking, this compliments to the chef. Let's go.
Good morning, creative family, and welcome to another episode of Cooking the Late Night. I am your host, Cook, and I'm excited because I have another great creative coming through today. When I tell you Carter Sadé, I got whole new friends, right? You're gonna see why we got some new friends shortly, you know? But you're gonna want to witness this, you're gonna want to see it, because when I tell you that we got a lot going on, she's been moving around in the district, and backstory a little close to mine, where we're not from the DMV, but we make moves here in the DMV. So if you want to see how to make moves as a creative in a new terrain, new area, this is going to be the one to tap in on. But like always, we got to cook up. And that cook up going to start with my guy, Drew Keys. So let me see from my guy, Drew Keys, how you living over there. Talk to me.
What's up, y'all? It's Drew Keys. Hit me up if you need music production, piano lessons, or live music. You can follow me on social media at Drew Keys Music and check out my website, drewkeysmusic.com.
Hey, man, I appreciate having you here. I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to what's coming up next. But with that said, Miss Carter Sadé, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am good. In fact, we can get it, we can bring the mic close to you, get this way the world can hear you. Yeah, that's all you.
Okay.
You good. Right. Perfect. So first and foremost, please introduce yourself to those who might not be familiar.
Well, hello, everybody. I am Carter Sadé. I'm a freelance media personality, the CEO of Hey New Friends, and a brand influencer. I'm also an advocate for utilizing all of your gifts to create a life in which you feel fulfilled. And I support Black businesses. There you go.
Hey, yo, that was the elevator pitch of the century. Like, you came like, yo, I got my key points. Like, I promise we don't got a teleprompter or any type of thing like that in the back. And yeah, that's dope. So first off, I'm
really excited to be here. I'm super proud of you. I have been watching the show, so thank you for inviting me.
No, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for tuning in too. We tapped in earlier this year to connect, and just to have that support, is glad to actually have you here in the camera, because you've been rocking with us. So first and foremost, right? Let's talk. How did you get started as a freelance media personality?
So I think for me, I actually started off as a blogger. So Instagram started popping maybe when I was in undergrad, probably started popping, but I wasn't into it because it was just for photos. Mm-hmm. Originally, it was just for photos, and I just hated taking pictures. Believe it or not, I hated taking pictures, but I love to write. So I created this blog called Unashamed This Is Me. And it was like around the time when I was getting ready to graduate undergrad. I didn't know what was next, but I knew that a lot of things that I didn't want to do, that I wanted to do wasn't aligned with what everybody else thought I was supposed to be doing with my life.
Yeah.
So I created this blog called Unashamed This Is Me. And the goal was like to get people to live their truth out loud, to like fulfill their purpose, walk in it, despite what the journey might look like to anybody else. And so really, sometimes people say that blogging is for other people, but blogging was healing for me. So when I was writing, people were probably thinking that, these were for them because I would project it outwardly, like we should be doing this or do that, like, motivation, but I was motivating myself. And so it was like really, really therapy for me. But then one time I was just like, you know what? I have a voice. Like I'm using my voice in words, but I want to start speaking. I want to start utilizing my voice in other ways.
Yeah.
And so if I would have known about being like in PR or journalism or anything like that ahead of time, I wouldn't have gone to school to do social work or to get a master's in HR. Like I would have went another way.
But and so let's talk like what even guided you to that first career path, like because you ended up going to GW, right? Like
so I went to Old Dominion as my undergrad. So
okay.
ODU, shout out Monarchs, as my undergrad, and then when I was there, I decided to do human services, social work. I knew that I wanted to help people, but originally I wanted to be a dental hygienist. But then I said, you know what? I'd rather clean up people's lives and not their teeth.
Oh, okay.
So it was a little different. So I switched career lanes, and they didn't have social work at the time. At the time, human services was the closest thing to it. And I was one of those people who was already out of state, right? So I came from Michigan. I moved to Virginia, even though my family was in Virginia. I didn't grow up in Virginia. Yeah. So I wasn't one of those people like, oh, you know how they can say transfer schools, transfer colleges. I didn't do that. So I was like, I got to just stay in this field because this is all they have at this school. So I didn't think that when I got out that social work and human services are two completely different things, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was the same, but anyway, it wasn't. So I did that for a while, and then I was like, okay, this is cool. Like I'm gonna work with ex-offenders. I wanted to work in a prison. I actually got a job to be a correctional officer in a prison in Alabama. And I was gonna go there, and then my parents was like negative.
Shout out to moms and pops be looking out sometimes.
Yeah, they was like negative. You're not doing it, but I thought that's what I wanted to do because undergrad I did internships at prisons and St. Bride's Correctional Facility. Shout out to them because I still stay connected. And they used to say like your personality is too bubbly. You don't belong inside the walls. But I wanted to create programs for ex-offenders. I wanted them to come home and feel like that, they were one with society and how to like reintegrate themselves. So I thought that's what I wanted to do. I got burned out really, really fast. And then when I moved up here, it wasn't really any jobs unless I was going to go to school to get a master's in social work. Yeah. And so then I had to ask myself, like, do you really want a master's in social work? And so after, just talking to my mom and talking to a few other people, they were like, try HR. Like, it's still going to give you that people side. You're going to be helping people. It'll be great. Like, you can do training and development. So I was like, okay, that sounds more like me. But then I started working in corporate America, and I just felt like I was working for people who were entitled. So it was different. I was like, dang, like, at least when I was doing human services, I was working for people who needed me. Like I felt like I needed to help them. These people were just like, you work for me, basically, like in HR. Yeah. And so once I did that for like 2 or 3 years, I was like, I don't really like this either. But I didn't want to really tell anybody that because it was like, Dad, you got 2 degrees and you still ain't figured out like what you want to do.
And let's talk about that. Let's talk about that process of, just kind of figuring out like what's not for you, right? Yeah. Because most people be like, all right, well, I got the student loan that I got to pay off for this career field. Right. I need jobs, like I need to get work. But talk about that route of creating your own path while you still trying to transition.
I think for me it was more so I was tired of crying at night. Like I was tired of going to jobs and feeling like I was in a jail cell. And so even though some people thought the opportunities that I got were so like great, I was so miserable. Like I would go like, you start getting that gut feeling like, dang, I gotta go to work. Like I hate that feeling. So I started getting it. And once it became repetitive and like almost 3 or 4 jobs, my parents started questioning whether or not it was just me. Like,
Right.
And I mean, honestly, it was though. I just wasn't fit to be there. It wasn't a fit for me. And it's not a knock against 9 to 5s. It just wasn't my lane. And so because I knew that I already got 2 degrees and I didn't want to go back to school, and it was hard to like switch careers when you don't have like quote unquote experience. So I started having to create experimental like opportunities for myself to get experience. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got into like the freelance media personality, because I started looking for opportunities, linking up with people, covering events. Like just creating all of these opportunities for myself to get my name and my brand out there. But I had like no journalism experience other than me, quote unquote, blogging, which some journalists would be like, that don't count. Like, you know.
I mean, they could, but you know, you started blogging and you know, what year did you start blogging, like roughly?
Blogging, I started blogging in like 2011.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like it's like this was even before like this time of you like graduating.
Yeah, that was before. Oh, how did you get that picture? I hate that picture, but it's okay.
See, now I want y'all to know in pre-show, I was like, I did read something like, nah, everything out there you can use. And look, the first one I pulled. See, look,
you can use everything, but that picture, I mean, that's the only graduation picture I got. That was my master's degree.
Oh, so that was like you doubling down in the industry that you're like.
That was public administration and human resources.
Wow. Okay. All right. So like you don't like the situation you're in. You hate it. Let's be honest. You hate it. What you're blogging for fun, but when did you start to see traction where you were like, oh, I can expand on this a little bit more? Like, what did traction look like for you?
I think in probably like 2014, because I took a break. I started in 2011, and then it was sporadic, right? You know, I wasn't consistent, so I would blog like once every 3 months. In 2014, I don't know what happened in my life, but I was venting, and so I was blogging consistently, like trying to motivate myself and motivate others. I was blogging consistently, and so after that, I saw the traction. Then, like, people were commenting, people were sharing, people were emailing me, like, you know, venting, and I was like, oh, like this, I'm onto something. Like, you know, people really care about what I'm writing. Like, this feels great. Because at first, like I said, it was healing for me. I didn't really care if anybody was actually reading it. I just knew it was good, so I was promoting my stuff, whether one person was watching or reading. And versus 100. And so when I did get to the 100, I was like, oh, like people really read my stuff and they share it. And that felt really, really good. And then I realized once I started falling off with that again, I was like, oh, I can't continue to be inconsistent because, you know, building a platform, like I built my IG page off my blog. And so, and with doing that, it was just like, oh, well, what is she doing now? And I think it was a period of time when people were just confused.
And there's a lot of things that you said that I want to take away. First and foremost was, you know, as a creative, you do for yourself first, right? Like you typically these visions, the ideas have come out of a place of void that we've seen and we want to create. And what I want to actually ask is like getting to that period of realizing that I have a platform. There is a responsibility now. Talk about like the pressure of like now this is like now I got to show up for these people. Definitely. Like it's no longer, although it started for yourself, now you almost feel like an obligation to show up for them.
Definitely, because I felt like, it's exactly that feeling. And when you don't, you feel like you're letting them down. Like, you know, like Dag, like I didn't post a blog this week, and I know such and such reads my blogs consistently. Like, and then I'm gonna throw something out there like, oh, y'all, I'm gonna be back next week, and then next week comes and I don't say anything. So I started feeling really, really bad in that way. And I think that now, like, even in this journey that where I am today, I get moments where it's like, okay, I have a real platform, 2 real platforms that I really gotta like be careful what I say and what I do because people watch. Perfect example is that I did an interview with someone that I didn't do complete research on. And so I have this whole women's empowerment group, right? All of these ladies. I had someone that I was inquiring about doing an interview on, and then someone emailed me like all of these things about him being like this womanizer, assault charges, like all of these. And they were like, you know, the person who wrote me was like, we respect you. Like, we love your platform and we know that you stand for this. So I'm just going to assume you didn't do your research, but I want you not to continue to do this. And so then I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, wait a minute. Okay, I did not know. I totally apologize. But then I really felt convicted. Like, okay, you got to be a little better because you do have platforms now and people are paying attention. And what you put out to the world, like, you need to make sure it makes sense.
Sure.
I definitely have those moments where I'm like, dang, I got to stand on this. And I want to use my platform to be in meaningful ways. So that was always my gripe, like just to post. Like I didn't like selfies. I wasn't the selfie person. I told you that. I wasn't the selfie person, but Instagram was just for selfies. But then when I saw the wave of people really creating real content and people were watching it and viewing it, I was like, I want to be a part of that. Like, I want to be a part of somebody actually waking up excited to read my message or to read my post. Like, I want to like change somebody's life in that way. Wow. And so when I took it to heart like that, now I'm just all over it. Like, I care. I really care.
That's valid. And you know, that's kind of the journey, right? It's like, you know, you trying something and then someone comes along and say, hey, you know, I see you're doing something. this, you might want to look a little bit more into this. You might want to care a little bit more about this. And I'm guessing that interview didn't proceed with
no, but I was just like, it was just awkward afterwards.
Of course.
So, I had to check myself and then later like go behind the scenes and figure out like, what does this look like moving forward? If I were to be in this situation, what do I say next? What do I do? And it's just those little missteps that you learn along the way, but it's like some stuff could have been avoided. But I appreciate her for reaching out.
No, that's a fire thing, because most people kind of, especially, it sounded like the young lady didn't know who you were, like personal relationships. So a lot of people would, like anybody else would be like, I'm just going to unsubscribe, like cancel, like you're done. Yeah. But okay, so wow, so you're doing this, you're. And I don't know if we can talk about your migration from Michigan to the Virginia area. Like, when did you come to this area?
Oh no, it's not a sad story.
Okay, all right. I didn't know. I want to make sure.
If it was, I probably would have shared it. But basically, shout out to my mama. She's a super woman for starters. But when my parents divorced, I think I was in like the fourth grade, I believe, fourth grade. And my mother decided to move back to Virginia, which is where she's from. So when she decided to move back to Virginia, of course, the mother usually takes the child. She took me. And the whole year I cried every day. And so I remember being in social studies and they was like, what's the capital of your state? And I was like, Lansing. And they were like, you're in Virginia. And I had to be like, I don't live here. It's temporary. Like, it's temporary. I don't live here.
Y'all live in Virginia.
Yeah. I would get in trouble all the time in that class in social studies because I refused to accept the fact that I now lived in Virginia. And so after the year, I think it came like it was the summertime, and my mom just had a real conversation with me, and she was like, "You know what? Hello, mother. Thank you."
Hey, mom holding the block down too.
And so my mom was just like, as much as this is gonna hurt me, I want the best for you. Like, I love you so much to see you happy that I'm gonna let you go live with your dad. Yeah. And so the agreement was that I was gonna go live with my dad. I was gonna finish out middle school, and when I was gonna get to high school, I was gonna come back to Virginia. But of course, you get to high school, you're involved in the community, you're doing things like I was like running for pageants. I was doing all these different things. And I'm like, okay, mom, I'm not coming back for high school. So I think she saw it coming. And even though I probably disappointed her, she was okay with it. And so she let me stay. But my promise to myself was when I went to college, I didn't care how expensive it was going to be, but I was going to go to school closer to my mother. And so that is how I ended up at ODU. So I was going to go to VCU, but that was like right in her backyard. Sorry, mommy. But I was like, never mind, I'm not going there. So
well, you can just walk to the campus. Nah, Ma, I'm gonna need you to have to think about coming to see me, like not just, hey, it's Tuesday.
Yeah. Nah, that's real. So I ended up going to ODU with my first cousin. We were roommates, and it was great. So that's how I came to Virginia, like for good. And then when I came to the DMV in terms of like Northern Virginia, because I learned that there's a difference. I was in Southern Virginia, I guess.
Oh yeah,
757.
You was out there.
Yeah, I was in 757, and when I caught up here, it was like that part of Virginia is not included in the DMV, like Nova area.
That's the one that almost lost the election for us that we almost let go of.
Right.
That's that part of Virginia. I mean,
yeah. So when I moved up here, it was because my sister, her family's military, and I was going to go back to Michigan and try to work for Whirlpool, doing some stuff like that. And she was like, I live in close to DC. I think you would like it. I didn't know that Waldorf wasn't really that close to DC, but
it's not.
But when I moved out here, that's where I moved. I moved to Waldorf.
You got your passport.
Yeah, I got my passport. I used to fly to DC to hang out.
just to see my friends.
Yeah, so I used to do that, and so that's how I ended up here. And then once my sister got orders to move back to Norfolk, she was like, "Come down here." I was like, "No, I'm staying." So I need to figure out my lane here. I can't just follow you. So I stayed. That's how I stayed here. I found a roommates on Craigslist, and it's just been here. I've been here since.
That's a journey. First off, are you youngest?
No, so I have two little sisters, Kayla and Kristen. One just turned 17, and the other's 14.
Okay, and then your sister who you live with is
she's about to be 40, right, Cece? I think you're about to be 40.
Happy early birthday.
Yes.
She out here. But no, okay, so like just to get a scope of it, so like you really kind of, found your way. Like it wasn't just laid out for you. It wasn't just an instant, hey, click point A to point B. No. It was a couple other letters in between, but you got back to B. Definitely. And so when you would describe at that time when you're like, I want to commit to DC, is that the birth of like, hey, new friends, or what did that start to look like?
So basically, when I did move from Waldorf, I moved to Alexandria. And I stayed there for a little while, but I heard so much about Chocolate City. And we all know now that DC is not Chocolate City anymore. It's kind of crazy and it has changed, but I wanted to experience that. So I moved from Alexandria to Southeast. Like I placed myself in Southeast.
Oh,
like,
you wanted the full experience.
The full experience. And I said, you know what?
Gotcha.
Like, I found this nice spot, and I kept telling people, like, I'm moving to Southeast, and they would look at me like I was crazy. But I'm like, I'm going to DC because that's where like the culture, the people are. Like, I want to be there with the creatives. I want to be with the Browns. I want to be there. So, so I moved to DC, and so that is how Hey New Friends started. It became a thing of like, okay, I'm in this city. I want to meet people, but I'm not quite sure where to go about meeting them. And so because I did have a little bit of following on social media and when people was here, I said, you know what, I'm gonna make a group. Like, let's meet up. And so it started off as just like a purpose-driven brunch. You know, we love that word. So it started off as a purpose-driven brunch. And from that, I'm like, oh, this is a thing. Like, this could really be a movement. And because there were so many women who were new to the area that didn't know where to go hang out. So that's what we ended up doing. And it created a movement.
No, that's how, and this was like, you know, logo one, like talk about like branding it, like, because that's one of the biggest things that you can kind of consider when you're talking about, you know, like it's no longer just an idea. You actually made it a brand, a vision. And so like talk about like what went into like, when did you realize it was a brand?
Ooh, that logo. I made that logo while I was crying on my lunch break. All
right, we got you've been going through it. Like what? Like, let's talk about the evolution of recognizing that.
Yeah, like, I did. I remember after that meetup that weekend, and I realized I had something. I went to work, and I remember my boss was she was being annoying that day, and so I remember calling my mom again, like upset about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna create this. So I got on Canva, started making logos. That was my first Canva logo.
Hey, shout out to Canva.
That was my first Canva logo, and I ran with it. But then I realized it didn't look nice on all these different things. But you know, things take time. I wasn't connected to people. I didn't know who to look to for a logo or things like that. And people kept telling me Fiverr and stuff I was seeing on Fiverr just didn't look that nice to me. So I didn't. Maybe I was looking in the wrong places. But I ran with that logo. It did its thing for 2 years, and then I came across a connection at my last job that she's super creative. Her name's Takia Key. Shout out to her. She has actually a creative business where she does all these things, and she decided to gift me with new logos because she felt like what I was doing was so life-changing, and she was happy to have been connected with me.
Yo, that's a key thing that I want to talk about, because like even for myself as a creative, like you find yourself just trying, you know, doing the best that you can, bringing things together with whatever that may be, and you start to attract other creatives. Talk about properly nourishing those situations and not taking advantage of it, right? Because someone could be like, yo, you doing logos? Bet. I need like a whole graphics pitch deck for the love. Like, talk about like nourishing those relationships.
I think that, you know, and then on the other side of that is that when you are like a creative or a networker, sometimes you end up knowing a lot of people. And then you know all of these people that do all these awesome things, but then you don't even know how to ask them to help you. Right? It's like, you don't want to, you know, ruin the relationship by kind of bring business into it, but you know they're really good at this. So usually, like, unless I know we can really work, I don't even address the idea. I get to know them as a person first. And so for me, when it comes to working with people, I want that relationship because I want longevity. I'm a loyal person. So if I can find you and we can make this work, I will work with you till the end of time. I don't want to deviate. I'll be consistent. Like I don't like change. I mean, I guess because I've done it so much, I don't like change. I like consistency. And one thing that's really frustrating is just trying to figure this stuff out on your own. So when you do get a team or people around you that you understand can help you, you're just super grateful because you know you've been doing it all by yourself. And so it's like, it's really important. Like I will do anything for that girl and she knows it. Like I'll do anything for her because I just feel like I know she's in my corner. And so whatever it is, whatever that looks like to help her win, I'm gonna do that too.
And to flex the new logo real quick, you know, I love this campaign that you did too, because you had one where you were kind of really building out this year you were active, like you were on top of super even active. Like, you know, voting and all that was taking place. Like that logo is fire.
I love it. Look, and that's logo number 2. I love it.
Oh yeah. Oh you're big lit.
Well, because in the set she gave me 4 logos. I was like, sis, like she's like, this is for this is for that. I'm like, oh, so yeah, I love. But you
got a couple in the chamber.
Yeah, but I love that.
That's lit. So I mean, so just on the strength of your Canva logo to gifting designs, like what's been the growth for your brand itself?
I think that one thing that creatives should consider is that no, you don't need a bunch of money to start. But when you really recognize that you have something, you got to invest the money. Like, you know, and so even though she made my logo, after she did that, I was able to invest in so many other things that cost me money. but it looks better with the new logo on it. So whether it be merch or this, like anything, like, you know, you want your brand to have its own brand story, but you want people to look at it and say, oh, it looks reputable. It looks like something that I want to buy into. And I think that, you know, the old logo gave it like, oh, this is cute. This is dainty. This is nice. And then it was pink. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't really like pink. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
So no.
Okay.
Pink was not my color of choice. Like, I like yellow, I like blue, things like that. But I knew pink attracted women. So it worked in the beginning, you know. But now I'm just like, I'm glad she left it in there. But then as you can see it now, it has pink, it has blue, it has all these different colors. I'm like, that's better. We can put that more places. And now if you see a lot of the logo stuff that I wear, I'm always wearing black and yellow, like on mine. But yeah, you have to invest the money when you realize that you really have your hands on the gold mine. And I think sometimes that doesn't look like others confirming for you that you have it. It's like what God has confirmed in yourself. Like, is that reassurance and knowing that this is what I'm supposed to be doing and this is what I need to invest my money in.
And you know, I think it's really dope because even thinking about like what it took to get you here, like believing in yourself, right? Because you was even recognized just as like as close as last year for your blogging skills and what you got out here.
Shout
so
out to Ashley.
Like, like, I mean, you started that in 2011.
Yeah.
Talk about the consistency of that while building out an actual brand. Like, how do you execute multiple visions of creativity?
Because what I think sometimes people when they think about building brands, people like me, if you're already doing the work, you already are building a brand. And I think sometimes people think that, when they say, I want to build a brand, they want to start all the way over. And it doesn't look like anything like they've already been doing, which is okay in a sense, but you've already had a following, you already have a crowd. So the problem that I was running into is when I did want to meet with brand strategists and things like that, they wanted to revamp everything. And I had to come to them and I'm like, y'all not busy. I'm not coming to y'all with just like no start. Like I started somewhere. I created something. I have a brand. And I was consistent with it. So like I said, there was a couple of years where I fell off, but I was still like putting up quotes or things like that, but I wasn't blogging as much. But around 2014 to 2017, I was blogging heavy. Yeah. And even as close to 2019, I was blogging heavy. And then I was like, you know what? 2018 is kind of when I was like making motivational videos. And they were encouraging, they were inspiring to me. And then I later was like, you know what, I'm going to run with this. I'm just going to start speaking more. And if I'm not going to put out a blog every week, I need to get on live. I need to say something. I do something so people can know that I'm here. But yeah, it took a lot of grit and grind, y'all. Like, yeah, if you decide that you're going to be a blogger, if that's what you want to do, you got to be consistent. Anything you want to do, you got to be consistent. Yeah.
And you even went from like blogging, talking to people, doing videos, and then you out here, like you hosting, like you start hitting carpets, you start being in spaces like this. Like, how did those opportunities come to you, given that it wasn't a profession that you had what they would deem experience prior, like building that experience?
I was like, anytime I saw something that I wanted to be a part of, I would reach out to the organization or the person and say, hey, can I help you with this? But when I would say, can I help you with this? I would say that I'm able to do this. I can do this. I can host this event. I can give you things. Like, I would tell them what it is that I can do for them. And they would look at my Instagram profile, have a conversation like, oh, I love your personality. And they would give me the opportunity. So that really did look like me knocking on people's doors. And then also when people weren't accepting me, like, when they weren't open to the idea of me doing certain things, I started doing it on my own. So like, I would create events in the community and put people together in a room, but then I would host it. So then you would see me as a host, even though I put the entire event together.
No, and that's key, because what that speaks to is proof of concept, right? Mm-hmm. And that's something a lot of people don't realize, that as a creative, you have to establish proof of concept. Definitely. And so where, like, mindset wise for you, like, was there educational tools that kind of led you to this? Like, how did you start to develop or realize this is what I need to get better at to be more in this field?
One thing I hated was listening to myself speak. And it was because even now I still speak really fast. And so sometimes I have to remind myself to slow down. But I was one of those people who didn't like listening to their voice, even though I knew I had one and I wanted to use it. So what that looks like was forcing myself to make videos and listening to them over and over again until I was comfortable with hearing myself speak. And then I also reached out to some of the organizations within my school. I also reached out to some of the organizations within my school that were giving free workshops on like public speaking and things like that. And so, I did some of that background work to make sure that I could do something. But honestly, YouTube is your best friend. I was on YouTube watching people like all the time, like in my free time.
With a YouTube?
Yes. In my free time, I was watching TED Talks. I was watching people hosting events, like people at the Grammys on, like, because I want to be on the Grammys. we could be on the Grammys just hosting an event. Like, hey
We
guys,
got y'all.
welcome. So I would watch things like that so I could get tips, because like when you meet with people, they say like, well, who do you model yourself after? Well, who is someone that comes to mind? And I really couldn't think of anybody until I came across Karen Civil. And I was like, you know what? Multifaceted. I love it. Like her hand is in everything. And so if I could say someone that inspires me, it's her. Yeah. So so I just started YouTube University.
Proud alum. No, honestly, I think and I'm glad that you're offering these steps to those who are in that creative space. Because if 2020 hasn't done anything for anyone else, it's gotten everyone to kind of take a look inside and like wonder, like, all right, what does a parallel life look like if the world shut down and I can be whatever I want to be, and so let's even kind of talk into that now. Like, you got a community organization that's built on connecting and gathering, and the world closes. How do you adjust?
So that for me was so scary, because I always knew that I wanted it to eventually be a membership community, like a paid membership community, and this exclusive thing that people can pull up and feel like I'm a part of, kind of like a sorority, I guess. I wanted that feeling. But when the pandemic hit, I was like, dang, like, do I still charge people for membership? Because we can't really go anywhere and curate the experiences that we were once doing when they were, coming along for free. I had to pray on that thing.
Hey, it's a good place to start, though. It's a good place to start.
I really had to pray on that, because I was, for one, I understood the times, and I understood that people's finances changed too during that, because I was also a part of that. So that was the first thing. And then secondly, like I said, because the world was shut down, I had to think about like, what can I curate for them to still want to be a part? Like, how can we exist knowing that the world is closed down? So we ran with the events of 10 people, 15 people, first come, first serve, for as long as we could before we had to do virtual events. So we had a pajama party, a karaoke party. We did book club, like all these random things. And so now we even have Sister Circle, where they meet for 5 weeks and they deep dive into things like that. And so it's like, I just had to create an experience online too, because honestly, we don't even know what 2021 or 2022 is going to look like. And so with them paying dues to the organization, I still had to give them something. And then I try to go out my way to make sure we do extra things so they can feel a part. Like, you're still present. It's a thing.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the Sister Circle.
I'm so proud of this.
Let's talk to building that out, and then I do want to circle back to like a foundation question. But what is Sister Circle?
So Sister Circle is a group within Hey New Friends. So like, as you are a paid member or an official member, there's these services that we offer to you. So you get volunteer opportunities. You can get marketing if you are a business influencer or entrepreneur. You can market your business that way. And then we also do like just different things that are just exclusive to the group, and Sister Circle is one. And so what it is like, I think it's the ultimate vent session, but instead of it being that like just a vent session, shout out to my best friend Tanisha, or Sadé Jones. This was her idea. And so that speaks to also having a team, because it was something I wanted to do, but then I would have to find somebody to lead it. Because if you know me, I like hosting events, I like speaking, but I don't necessarily always like deep diving into certain conversations. I'm real with myself to know that. To know that. And she is just like, she's going to school currently to be a doctor. She's at Howard, a psychologist, and she loves this. Like, she eats this up. And so she loves curating this part of the group. And so what it looks like is these ladies, they're vulnerable, they're transparent, they build off one another, and they talk about finances, spiritual tug of wars, all those type of things, just to feel like, you have that community as you're trying to develop yourself into the next level of life. So yeah.
Yo, you bodying this progression as a creative, by the way.
I mean, like, I feel like I'm rolling with the punches, and I think sometimes I get frustrated because you just want so much, and you can see the vision, and then you got to be like, okay, I know I'm supposed to crawl before I walk. But in my instance, I used to tell God, like, I want divine connections. Connecting with people could help me move this forward, because I get the vision, I know what it is, but I just can't move it all by myself. Wow. Like,
that's real.
Yeah, like, I can't move it by myself. Like, I just need the people in my corner, like, show up. So like, even the girl Key, who showed up and was willing to make my logo, that was monumental for me, because I needed those connections to elevate my brand.
Yeah, and that goes to like something that one of my previous guests by the name of Will said, and it's resonated with me. He's like, independent doesn't mean alone.
Yeah.
And that idea, like, is what resonates with what you've built. And but again, it's so much I'm about to ask, but I have it all like registered in my head, because I think there's a question that's more prominent for the people out there right now. The brand Carter Sadé, where did it start and come from? Because like, when I was researching, I found out, like, I was like, oh, that's the brand. Like you
So I'm gonna start
that.
pushing that more. But I own that. But what it was is it goes back to that story of feeling like I didn't have a brand when the whole time I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so because like you do so many things, titles. I hate titles. Like I'll start there. I hate titles because it's super hard to put titles on all of your creativeness.
Sure.
And so even something as simple as a media personality versus a host versus a talk show host, or like, it's just so much, and it's conflicting at times for me. And so when I created the Carter Sadé brand, I was getting speaking opportunities. And when he had to bill people, I was like, oh, I need an LLC. Like I need to make this a thing. And I was like, oh, the Carter Sadé brand, that's what I'm gonna do. And then I'm like, oh, but I have Hey New Friends. Is that a part of Carter Sadé brand? And I'm like, well, if it's my brand, like, so all of these facets are a part of this one thing. And so that's how that came about. Just me trying to put everything into like a hub. Like it's the Carter Sadé brand. And under that, you have this and you have that. But
okay. So like, and even to that, like, so you got this brand, you got Hey New Friends. And I think I love what you just said. Like there's so many facets of you.
Yeah.
How do you start to piece them together and build?
So once you realize that when you're in alignment, I think things are already starting to piece together. Like, they do align. So even with me, like being like priding myself on being a networker, I love people, I love connecting. Hey New Friends is no different. It's like a big network group, but it's like a sisterhood because that's the thing that I like, I'll just go ahead and say that there are a lot of women's empowerment groups, things like that. And I didn't even necessarily buy into that word because when I created Hey New Friends, it's off the strength of I need somebody to hang with, not somebody that we're going to this conference with necessarily, but somebody I can go to the movies with, somebody I can go get my nails done with, somebody I can call and pull up and go to the bar because I don't have any friends. Like,
like the bare necessities.
Yes,
right?
like I don't have any friends. And so that is kind of where the strength of Hey New Friends came from and what makes it different. It's not just the girls that get together for events and we're sitting here and learning things all the time. It's literally that day-to-day sisterhood friendship where you can call somebody an event and you can call somebody and come over. Like you just want to have a friend in your community. And so that's what makes us different. I will say that.
And what you just said is important. Yeah. Speak to protecting that community, like making it for women, like making it a space that they feel safe, where they feel comfortable. Like where did that look like, and how did you manage it and say like, because I'm sure other people are like, oh, can I be a friend? Like, how do I?
And guys, not no shade, but they always want to be a part. Like, oh, this is sexist. Like,
I mean, we want to be a part. I mean, it's a group of women going forward. Going professionals together. You're like, yo, why can't I be around? Like, I'm a friend.
I think somebody needs to make like the Hey New Friends guy version. But
I'm good.
Yeah.
That's okay. I don't want to talk to y'all that much.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. But like, so how do you go to protecting it and knowing like this is my audience? Because I think it even goes back to like even when you want to interview that gentleman and someone telling you like, hey, don't do this. That's a problem.
Definitely.
Like, how does that come out?
I'm just very mindful now because I used to always say that, and I think that people have told me along the way to stop saying it, but I used to always say that I wasn't necessarily in the beginning the woman's empowerment or the woman's woman. Like, yes, I supported women, but then I grew up with my father and around my uncles and around a lot of men. So I always gravitated towards men in my friendships. Like we were just always cool. So when I realized that I needed a lot of women friends, like going into like living in a new space and not knowing anybody, I first was like, okay, God, I think sometimes women are catty. So please connect me to a group of women who are not. But I kind of had to open my eyes a little bit because once I was open to the opportunity to do that, I realized that I was holding myself back because there were so many women who thought that I was amazing. And I was really reserved because I just was so protecting myself and my ego. Like, I don't know, girl, like, do you really like me? Like,
Is this for the gram?
Yeah, can we really be friends? Right. And so then it was like, it was super dope when I really did get the idea. And I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful for my community because every person literally, and I'm not saying it just to say it, every woman that's connected to that community brings something to it. And they're open to the idea of new friends. So they don't come in there with a narrative like women are like this. I don't want new friends. Like, and I think it's because of the name. Sure. Like it's Hey New Friends. You don't really come to the community if you're not open to friendships.
I like the precedent it sets. And even like, this is like your squad right here. Or a good shot. I want to shout out because I think this shows like that kind of union and empowerment and idea and vision that we are alluding to and technical difficulties that we work through because that's life. Hey,
this was friends. The very first meeting.
This is the first link.
This was the birth of Hey New Friends. This was the purpose-driven meeting that I was talking about.
But how does it feel to see that, knowing where you're sitting now and how far it's
It
come?
actually makes me really emotional. Because now, like, yeah, it makes me really emotional because when you get people who buy into your service, it's a great feeling. Like, cause you're like, dang, I put something out into the world and somebody else picked it up. Yeah. Like, it resonated with them enough to even pay the membership dues to be a part of this community. And so that just makes me want to go harder and do more for them so that they don't feel like they wasted their money, for one, and that they feel like they're really a part of something that's life-changing for them. But that picture actually makes me really emotional because it was an idea. And that was just like, oh, let's get cute and go to brunch. I need some friends. And I remember the post that I made on Instagram in my stories, like, hey, y'all, I just want to link up this weekend with some dope women. Like, are you in the area? Let's connect. Like, we can get cute and we can go to brunch. And that brunch just had a fire conversation. And after that, I was like, I want to do this again. And later, like, I think a couple of days later, I was like, hey, new friends. And that's kind of how it came together.
Hey, that's like one of those, like, starter journey moments that is like, even seeing that scene and just seeing the pureness of all of you all connected.
And nobody in that picture knew, like maybe two girls, me and my best friend knew each other. Nobody else knew each other.
Really?
They were all new. Like, so they were all new to the area and didn't know anyone. So that was their first time meeting. They just met each other and some of them are still friends right now.
I honestly, what you did there, what you built is kind of one of the bigger things that I think for anyone creative that they can take is that, be the void that you're missing.
Definitely.
Because like, again,
some of the best businesses are built that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you find yourself in those spaces where it's like, hey, if I can build this out, I'll at least be happy.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, someone else wants to be a part of this. So where have you been? I know that we've talked about, like, again, this has had to have transitioned just due to the world that we're in right now currently. But where do you feel see the trajectory of it growing? Like,
I see.
What does that feel like?
My goal is I see Hey New Friends in all the major cities. So there will be like a Hey New Friend Houston, a Hey New Friends New York, a Hey New Friends in every city for women who are new to the area and need friends. So that is the ultimate goal. And I always tell my group that, like, we moving away. Like, we're gonna be multiple places. That way, when you go to each city, you can always have a friend. So if you're a part of our community, like, and you go to Houston, you're like, oh, it's a Hey New Friends here. I can always pull up and see what they're doing. Like, you'll always have a friend. And then I want to have conferences. Like, there's just so much I want to do with this brand. And I think the fact that it's just so authentic and it's based on real women with real experiences who are open to the idea of really developing and helping one another, I know it'll be fine. So, yeah.
Now, we did all of this addressing of, like, your brand you built, and we didn't even talk about, the Carter table talks. Like, like, how did this get started? Like, what was this whole thing like?
Oh, Sophomore. Shout out to Sophomore. I really like them. So basically, Carter Table Talks started as Crystal's Kitchen Talks. And so when I used to give those motivational speeches in my kitchen table, that's what I named it. And then I would say, "Oh, guys, welcome to another one of my kitchen talks." Like, and so that's kind of how it started. But then I realized that I wanted to help people get resources. So people would write me all the time, and then you're so crazy how you feel like you unqualify yourself. Yeah. So when people would write me for things, I used to be like, "I'm not the person to give you this information. Like, I'm so grateful that you think that I'm this dope person who's doing all these things, and I can give you all of these resources. Yeah. But I don't even want I don't want to take that burden, and then you're disappointed that I can't carry you all the way." Wow. And so I really started this as a service tool. Like, I wanted to help people get to the next level. So Carter Table Talks was to provide inspo, tips, and resources to aspiring entrepreneurs. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna run with that. And so I bring people on the show that I can interview that can give tools to my audience to help them go. Like, so if you need brand guidance, like, they can help them go to the next level.
That's hot.
Yeah.
No, so, like, again, you running a full court press.
Yeah.
Like, at least 3 whole brands between yourself as a personality, Hey New Friends, the Table Talks.
Yep. And then I added the extension on Table Talks now. So where it's just like support Black businesses. So now it's like there's a segment of the show where it's literally just promoting Black brands, small Black businesses that need exposure. So using my influence in that way.
So, So with all of that, what's sanity look like and balance look like for you?
I'm trying to figure it out.
That's a really good question you asked right there.
Like,
we don't know.
I feel like sanity, I like being with my family, honestly, as much as they might think I don't because I'm not around as much as I would like to be. sanity and peace for me just looks like being with my friends, eating. I like to eat. Like, I'm one of them people who's mindful of how much money I spend, but not when it comes to food. So, like, everybody has a thing. You could go buy a designer bag. I'm gonna go buy a lobster tail. Like, so, so that going out to eat, like, I like going out to eat. I like listening to trap music. I like Jeezy. Shout out. I am gonna say that.
You said Jeezy?
Yes, my favorite rapper.
He won.
He definitely did.
Okay.
Like, he definitely did.
You got that on record, folks.
Yes. So yeah, I like chill stuff like that. Like, I like to travel, but I don't know if that's gonna happen anytime soon, because like even Hey New Friends had a trip scheduled to Barcelona in June. It was our first like girls trip, and we were going to Barcelona. And so at the last minute we pulled the plug because everything closed.
Wow.
So yeah.
That sounded like it was gonna be lit.
It was. So,
I'm sorry for you.
So hoping to run it back.
Nah, I mean, look, but there's a bigger playing. God's in control, and there's more that you are going to be able to get to. And
I'm also a heavy napper, so I'm not one of those people who don't rest. Like, I'll go to sleep at any point. Like, even if it's 15 minutes, I'm going to sleep. Like,
I'm with you. Like, me personally, like, if I'm gonna do something, I'm a nap.
Yeah, like, the power naps are the best. Like, right before anything. So, like, if I have a moment to take a nap, I'm taking a nap. Like, that's it.
that balance, everything that you've built in this space, like, for you and the figure it out space that you're in, what keeps you in the DMV?
It's so interesting that you asked me this question, because the more and more people that I meet who are originally from the DMV, they always tell me that it's not here that I need to be. They say I need to be in Atlanta, I need to be in LA, I need to be places like that. And I don't know. I fell in love with the DMV the very first moment I got here. And I feel like because I built my platforms here and I've been able to create opportunities, I don't see why other people don't think that there's opportunities here. And so I think what keeps me here is just kind of staying in a race, because I think that the DMV has a lot of hot creatives, and I think some sides of the world count us out. But I think that we're on the rise, and it's going to be like, oh, like when it comes out, we're here, and then we're part of, like, pioneers, part of the movement when it's like really setting the tone. Right. Because I do think that we are on some outlets, but it's just like, I know some creatives in the DMV that I feel like that I actually saw be cut out of opportunities because they wanted to showcase people from other cities. But I'm just like, and then sometimes people come here and they say, well, the DMV is a place where people don't really support each other. They say it's a place where people or influencers do it for clout and things like that. But that wasn't my experience. And I don't know if it's because I continue to hook up with transplants, but it just wasn't my experience. And I just refuse to believe that that's the narrative. So I think what keeps me here is the fact that I know that there's promise here. Like, there's things to be done right here in the city. And like, whether it's real estate or anything, I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, you know what? I love that mindset, because what it does for me, like, personally, like I had the same kind of conversation.
Yeah,
like, go take that somewhere else. And you'll pop. Like, don't be a big fish in a little pond. Like, go into the ocean. But sometimes you don't realize that you have the power to build the canal that connects to the ocean.
Agreed. Like, that is a word. Pin that as a gem.
I'm gonna go to that one later.
Yes.
Tweet that one. But it's like, we limit ourselves to thinking that things are the way that they always been. Yeah. And that they can't change or progress. And if there's anything that this past year has taught any of us, it's that when things want to change, they will. Right. Regardless of your approval, regardless of what you brought to the table before. Life can change at a given moment. And when it does, can you evolve? Can you adapt?
And I think that if you truly believe in yourself and your brand, you feel like you can pop wherever you are. So it's like, I'm for real, I feel like if God put a vision inside me, it didn't matter where it don't matter where I'm located for it to be birthed. Like, it's gonna happen.
Facts. That's and it has, though. Like, that's why, like, Hey New Friends has become just, I think from the outside looking in, it's a very, not just a strong brand, but a purposeful brand. Definitely. It has intention behind it, and it has someone who's leading it with intentions themselves. Like, we always see like brands, like, for example, if we talk about how just the old era of FUBU, where it was like, oh, for us by us.
That used to be my nickname.
Really?
So when I grew up,
that's how good our research is. I knew that.
So when I grew up, I was on this like little cheerleading team, and everybody had nicknames. And so me, like, I used to trick my father into buying me FUBU. So that's all I wore. Like, every cheerleading camp, I was wearing FUBU. So my nickname became Lil FUBU.
Lil Fu. First of all, that sounds like a rapper name too.
It was.
You rap, didn't
And
you?
I used to go, no. Oh, well, I was in a group that we made up and we did rap. And there's a video. I'll plug it. It's a video on here. You know, he says it was like put something on mute. I won't say the word. But yeah, it was off like Rex on Rex on Rex. Like we made a song to that, me and my college roommates. But yeah, my nickname was Lil Fubu.
All right, well, hey, we here with Lil Fubu right now. It's lit. But no, that's dope. Like I think just again, what you're building and the responsibility that it comes with is not light. You know, you don't seem to carry it as a light thing. That pressure. How do you handle that? Because we talked about having a platform and what the responsibility of it can be. And of course, on a minuscule level, people are like, yo, it's just your Instagram. But it's your Instagram. It is.
Like, but even with Hey New Friends, it is pressure because again, there are so many groups and I don't even look at it that way though, because sometimes I don't know about groups until people tell me. But then I see the memes about women empowerment groups or things like that. I see them like all the time. Like I'm not a stranger to them. So it does give you pressure because you feel like what you're creating is still different. But in the eyes of so many, it looks the same as a lot of different brands, a lot of other brands. So I think the pressure to like remain relevant sometimes crosses my mind with the pandemic, but I don't ever think that it's not something that I can't scale.
No, that's valid.
Yeah.
And my last kind of interviewee style question is, you know, because I see you active on socials, not just like Instagram, Clubhouse, Twitter, Blogger. Like you're active. Like, what does it mean? For one, do you recommend all creators be active on all platforms or kind of finding your niche in one?
I think you kind of start at one and then you just branch out to others. So like I was upset the other day because, you know, they told me I wasn't a part of old Twitter. Like, you know, like back in the day Twitter.
I mean, what was your Twitter?
But I was, so you can find my old page.
Oh,
it is not active. Yeah,
got you. Yeah.
So I'm like, pause. I was on Twitter in 2009. Like,
I was about to say, what is it got your start date on right now?
Right now it says last year. So, but I created, I recreated, and I didn't remember the password, so I couldn't start over. So
you better than me. I'd have forgotten new password that because I need mine to say
all your followers.
I need mine to say when I started. It's pride.
No, I missed out on the Twitter wave. I did this go around, but I think that like all of your social medias might not pop at one time because like since Twitter is so new to me, nobody responds to my posts. Like so, I use those tweets to post on my Instagram.
But it's content, right?
Yeah.
Like that's strategic content creation is like, look, I'll make a Twitter post, screen grab that,
and post it somewhere else.
On Instagram.
Yeah.
Hey, LinkedIn, guess what?
Right.
I made a tweet.
That's exactly what I do. And so I want to get into the space where I'm able to build them all. And I think like, you know, for example, Facebook, I would like to be more active on Facebook because when I did spend some time there, like people pay attention on Facebook. Like somebody actually told me Facebook is old money. So if you really want to tap into some real money, they said you got to get on Facebook because that's where like the old money is. Like, you know, the people that are established that got it going on in real life. You know, they say Instagram is showboating sometimes and people really don't have a bag. But on Facebook, they got old money. So
we're on Instagram.
Tap into that. Look.
Yeah, guys, hope you know what that means. I don't got it. But I think that, you know, what you say is true. Like it's about understanding you first. Like forget like what people when they get in this world of influencer and branding, they automatically think, what's my target audience? All these things that I need to be. And like you go through the brand strategy, which is what you're supposed to do when you're building a brand.
But you start weeding people out. Like, well, people naturally weed themselves out. When you're in alignment with what you want to do and you start putting that content out, everybody else that's not for the brand will fall off. And you might feel like you're losing, like, dang, I lost some followers. But you're going to build them back with people who are actually buying into engaging in your content.
No, that's a fact. Yeah. Right? And that's the difference. Like, 2K followers don't mean the same for everybody.
Not at all.
7K followers don't mean the same every.
Not if you don't have engagement.
Don't mean the same for everybody.
Agreed. So, like I always tell people because like some people say, oh, like you're a micro influencer because I still have yet to reach 10K on my profile. And honestly, I don't even know if I care to. Like because I feel like my engagement is so high with where I am now. It's like, you know, and then when you get to 10K, it's like that pressure. Well, I do want the swipe up feature. Instagram, I don't know what's up with that.
Why I can't just get that to everybody who like
everybody
has a content, like
agree, a business page, period.
Like if people want to swipe up, let them swipe up.
Yes, that would make my life really convenient.
Honestly,
it would.
Mind both.
Yes, it would make my life so convenient. Easier. Agreed, it would.
So Instagram, I know y'all don't really listen to us. But
they don't
give us a swipe up. Like that's all we need. Like maybe me and 3 of my friends combine and make 10K, and then
Yeah.
we can do that.
I agree. So like, I think that when I think about numbers in that way, I'm okay with the smaller numbers if it has high engagement.
Sure.
Yeah, because then I really feel like I'm strategically building a community, and it's like you don't just post to post, you post and people care. Like,
No, that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So with that said, I didn't even know. I was just like, we was literally just cooking. How can we support you? Like, first off, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
I enjoyed this conversation. Clearly, I ran past every like cue flag saying, "Hey, we got 5 minutes." Ran past all that.
Oh man!
You know, so we gonna just close out.
Oh wow, that was really fast.
Right? It's lit.
Yeah, that was super fast.
How can we support you and your brand and where you're going?
Thank you for that question. So, first you can support me by going to my Instagram page and subscribing to my YouTube channel, because I am trying to build there as well. So hit the follow button on my page, but also subscribe to my channel. The link is in my bio. If you are in the DMV, or if you're hosting virtual events and you need someone to be a part, please look me up. I'm still looking for opportunities to be a part, whether virtually or in person, because there are some things that are happening in person. And then if you're a woman in the DMV who's open to new friends, definitely check out Hey New Friends.
That's lit. Now, there is a question that I do have to ask, because if I don't, I'm just doing the show a disservice.
Okay.
What does legacy mean to you?
What does legacy mean to me? A few things, but I think what comes to mind first, because you just asked me that question on a whim.
Off top.
I think what comes to the forefront is just leaving something for my sisters, my siblings, and I guess my children. I can think about children, but I'm 29, y'all. I really ain't thought about the kids yet. Kind of, not really. But, just leaving something that I can pass along. It looks like generational wealth for me. And so I want to be able to create opportunities, not only for myself, but for other people. Like, again, like my whole motto is service. I feel like I'm here to serve people. So legacy looks like I've really reached out and helped build communities, like literally like from the ground up.
That's lit.
So, yeah.
Well, look, I appreciate you. We had a whole cook-up guest. We're going to tap in with my guy, Drew Keys, real quick to see what the music looking like. And then we're going to clock out with you guys. So stay tuned. We rocking out.
Dang.
All right. Well, my guy, look, I know I was looking down at my phone because I was trying to figure out like how to call you fast enough to tell you I need that beat. But with that said, I appreciate you, Drew. I have everyone follow you at Drew Keys. Drew Keys? Tap in with my guy over there. We are closing out. With any last parting words for our creative family out there?
I'm gonna just say keep going. Like, keep going despite like what your circumstances might look like around you. Like, if you have a vision in your heart, something you really want to do, keep just pushing forward and keep going. That's it. That's simple. Because that's all I do every day. Like,
that's it.
Every day.
But that's all that. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't get too many other opportunities than what you're presently in. So
yeah.
I hope you guys take heed to that and keep going. I want to say good morning to all my creatives out there. Y'all stay cooking. Yo.